What's up, creepers? Welcome to Josh and Phin Spoops.
I guess I'm Josh.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Special.
Is that special?
Oh yeah.
What did we watch?
We watched The Descent.
The Descent.
The Descent.
The classic from 2004?
I thought it was 2000. Was it?
I don't know.
I thought it was 2006 or 2010. I don't remember.
Well, let's see.
Well,
Yeah,
Mom said it was earlier, so.
I don't know. We'll have to look that up.
Yeah, just give us a second, please.
I was right. 2005.
Wow. I thought you said 2004.
Yeah, might have. So we're reviewing The Descent from 2005.
2005.
2005. That's 3 years before you were born.
Wow.
Directed by Neil Marshall. Has an IMDb rating of 7.2 out of 10.
We decided to watch this movie because it had some cave climbing, and we like rock climbing, so that's why it's a dad special.
I've climbed outdoors, and he has not.
I have. I've climbed outdoors.
Oh, but not with a rope.
Yeah, not with a rope.
You've done
bouldering. Yeah. So I give it four stars. Four skulls. I'm a genius.
4 skulls. I give it 4.15 skulls.
I'm not gonna crop out 4.15 skulls.
Figure it out.
I'll do 4.25 skulls.
So the movie opens on a river trip.
Yeah.
3 of our heroines are on a raft, and then quite frankly, I was kind of happy to see the dad with the kid on the side cheering everybody along.
Yeah. Woo-hoo.
His name is Paul, I think. The reason why I don't really care about his name is because he doesn't last very long.
Oh yeah, that's the beginning. Okay, yeah. Do we want to say what happens at the beginning? So.
I thought that was the whole point, doing like a recap.
Yeah, so that's basically the beginning, and well, okay, I'll talk about something else that's in the beginning that's important. So
Paul,
are we getting to after that now? The car?
You tell me. It's your show.
Are we getting into the car? Because are you still talking about by the river or in the car now?
Well, at the river, there's a few moments. I don't know if you caught them or not. So there's a few moments by the river where you can see that there's something going on between one of the other heroines and the dude. And
they're not supposed to be in a relationship. Yeah, I mentioned that. When we were watching the movie. So. Yeah,
it basically sets some dressing on the relationships in the group.
So.
But you don't really get to explore that at all because immediately
they
they get in the car and leave.
And a car, like, he's like talking, he looks to the side for like a split second.
He's driving distracted. Well,
yeah.
Which side of the road were they on?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
You didn't?
I didn't.
Did you notice which side the steering wheel of the car was on?
Oh yeah, it's right. I'm a genius.
Well, it could be Britain. It could be any other nation that drives on the.
Well, I usually think Britain.
The left-hand side of the road with the steering wheel on the right-hand side of the road.
English.
Usually
England,
India, Australia. There's a few places.
Yeah, but they're speaking more English.
So they're not in any populated places, so it doesn't really tell you exactly where it is. It's just a place with a river.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so we're gonna get into spoilers now. That's basically the intro, right? So before everything, spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
People die right away.
So welcome back if you went and watched it, which most people don't do, or thank you for staying. I don't know, man. Do you.
Immediately, when she's like, hey, you seem a little distracted, he then becomes distracted and veers into the right side of the road, which is the wrong way to be, and smashes into a car.
And there's pipes on the car, and it goes through his head, through the seat, through the seat.
The little daughter.
Well, through him, through the seat, then through the daughter.
Yeah, it's a
so her family just died.
One of the things that always stuck with me about this scene specifically is that even though he's dead, he has like that dead body twitch, and it's like it's one of those things that's so super subtle that it just added to a creepiness factor for me. And then we're a year later, immediately, and it seems that
they show her in the hospital and freaking out.
Oh yeah, she does have a bit of a freak out in the hospital.
And
the lights start turning out. The hallways are empty.
And she's just like booking it down the hallway.
She tries running it because the lights start turning off. And then she runs into a friend of hers, and it turns out that was all in her head.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting watching the way that the extras sort of like, okay, I know I'm supposed to walk, but I'm not supposed to touch the main actors.
Or get in front of the camera.
Oh no, there's someone else coming my way. I'll just go into this side hallway and stand here awkwardly and ignore the two people crying in the middle of the hallway.
Well, yeah, I mean, that probably happens sometimes, so they just keep doing what they're doing.
What kind of hospital is that?
I mean, it looks like someone was taking care of her friend and stuff, so...
I don't know.
I'm just trying to make do with what we got.
Yeah. So
yeah. A year later, like you said.
Yeah, and the main character's name is Sarah, right?
Sarah, and then
I'm horrible with names, so...
I'm horrible with names, so we're in this together.
This is awesome. We're like, the guy with the hair! No, so Sarah, one of the things that's interesting about this film is that after the husband dies, there's no more men in the film.
Yeah, that was...
really kind of interesting
except
for
the
a
extras
horror
in the
film.
hallway.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I guess some of them were dudes or identified as dudes, and some of them weren't. Anyways, the main cast. Is that better?
Yes.
The main cast.
Thank you.
Is entirely
I think he was
women.
the only one that was a main cast male, because then there's the daughter. So.
Yeah.
Because he did also a movie where it's just like the lead characters were just male, so.
Yeah, the director. Do you remember the name of that film?
No, I didn't watch it, I don't think. I think Mom just mentioned
it. The director did
while
another
we're watching.
film where he had an entirely male cast, and then when he got the script for this one, he decided to do an all-female cast. Even though it wasn't scripted that way to begin with, he was like, no, I want to do one. I don't want to do just like another horror film. I want to do something interesting. And I think it really worked out for him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, because I am not a woman, it's almost like a peek behind the curtain, for lack of a better term. Like, I know what I would do in that situation. I know what my friends would do, my male friends would do, but I don't really have any insight in how a woman would behave outside of the male gaze, I suppose.
Oh, man.
Anyways, so we flash forward a year, and Sarah's best friend Juno has put together this caving trip. And they don't actually go like, hey, we put together this caving trip. It's just like everybody kind of gets together.
And they're like, oh, we're going to a cave.
Cabin, and
they're talking about
smoke weed and drink too much.
Yeah.
And come over.
And they have to get up early in the morning to go, and
Which, like,
they're just
if you know you're gonna go hiking or gonna go caving, like, you don't drink beforehand. You know, like, all right, we're gonna go do a bunch of physical activity. We should smoke
just party.
Yeah. But they get up the next morning and they go to their cave, which there are a few hints that are dropped immediately that they're not at the cave that they're supposed to be at. So Juno was the one that organized the trip. So this was a bit of the...
They're just like, no way when they see it.
Well, when you talk about how suspension of belief, whenever someone does something that's really stupid, I've always heard it as called snapping your suspenders of disbelief. It makes it so like you're like, no one would actually do that. In order for a horror film to really scare you, it has to be semi-plausible, at least to me.
Yeah, that's one thing that this movie, like, it was scary. I think it could have been scary without the like monster part. It could have still been scary with the dark cave and stuff.
Yeah, because I did have so.
Yeah, we should
probably get to there beforehand. So
yeah.
They hike to the cave, but when they get out of the car to go hike to the cave, you see Juno, who planned the trip, put their guidebook in the glove box.
Yep.
And they go, and she's like, I know where it is, I know everything. And apparently...
oh, yeah, it didn't turn off, it's just...
That's really not the case. So... they hike to the cave, and there's a few like jump scare horror tropes in it, just to kind of get you on edge.
Just like bats.
Yeah,
like
there's
so
nothing-
they lower down and
After
then
they
like
lower down,
bats.
come out, and like that's just a classic sort of jump scare with like no stakes at all.
Except it was after they saw a bloody handprint. Remember there was like the fingerprint?
Yeah, but you don't know it's a bloody handprint because it's just 3 streaks of red. That could be fungus growing
I
on a
thought it
rock.
was 4.
It looked like 3
It
to
looks
me.
like fingers to me. Hey, we're filming. Keep going.
So, there's this rock that has, it looks like blood streaks on it. I think it was 3 streaks. It might have been 4 streaks. But it looks like it could be someone's hand just like, meh.
Yeah.
Or it could be
just-
just fungus growing
like-
on the side of a rock. You don't really give 2 thoughts about it other than looking at it and being like, oh, this is a horror film. That is a sign of things to come.
It's great.
And they mention when they get to the cave that there's one way in and one way out. And this was also a bit of the snapping of suspenders of disbelief of, oh yeah, well, you're going to go into a hole. Well, we can't go back the way we came in, even though the rope's still hanging there, and we could just use ascending gear to get out.
Remember what happened? Why they couldn't go back?
Yeah, but that was later.
Well,
They
yeah.
established that it was a one-way trip when they went down into the cave initially. They're like, yeah, we can't go back the way we came, even though they totally could.
I don't remember that, but okay. I'm like, I don't remember that.
You know?
I don't.
Well, they talked about how they wanted to, how they were going to come in one end of the cave and go out a different end of the cave. Even though no one's explored this cave before, which you find out a little bit later.
Yeah. Except.
Except you find out other horrible things. So there's a couple quick jump scares in the cave that just kind of put you on edge because it's a horror film. They're just kind of like, hey, spooky, but nothing that's terribly at risk. And the whole time, like everyone's asking Sarah how she's feeling and is she okay, and it almost
It's just like,
it feels like she's almost made of glass. Which, like, if you have friends that have gone through anything bad, you're always like, do I say anything? But they definitely conveyed that really well. And then we get to that really tight crawl space.
Yeah, well, they go in, they just like sit for a second, and then they don't know where to go next. And then someone finds like a place, and it's like this tight squeeze. There's water in there, and each of them make it through except someone who has the extra ropes. They get stuck in there.
And Sarah, I think it was Sarah carrying the rope bag.
Yeah, yeah, it was Sarah.
Which, this is another sort of like, okay, well, in caving, you throw the bag in front of you.
Yeah,
Or you
she did
drag
that.
it behind you when it's tethered to your leg.
She did
but
that
normally you throw it in
first.
front of you because you don't want it to snag on anything. And she did it first, and then she kind of let it get too close to her.
She
and
got
I was like,
wedged.
she's like a seasoned caver. She shouldn't be this bad at it.
That was their first time.
No, they'd caved before. Like, at least it's suggested that they've done caves before.
Maybe.
So
Nobody knows.
there's an earthquake,
You're
which
probably right.
they don't really have earthquakes in the Appalachian Mountains.
I
don't think they do.
don't think there was an earthquake.
There
I
was an
think
earthquake in
there's-
Cave-In.
I remember the cave-in. I thought that was just from her like pulling and wiggling.
No, underground caves are actually super stable. Like it's, most of them are, anyways. But like there was a shake and
And it started falling,
saw it as an earthquake.
and they started like rushing
And they
them.
panic and then
and,
drag
like-
her through the hole and the hole caves in. And now they can't go back the way they came.
There now, that's what
So
I was
now they
gonna say.
definitely have to go the rest of the way through this cave system.
Yep.
Yeah, and
And they keep going. So this has already dealt with like some claustrophobia or getting like, and I hate the idea of getting stuck in a cave and not being able to move, and it seems like they're getting deeper and deeper, so it seems like there would be less and less oxygen as they
well, I
went.
guess it depends on how drafty the cave system is.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because even if they can't navigate through the cave system, there might be smaller cracks and crevices that allow air in. I mean, that would explain the bats that live in there, and some of the other creatures that live in there. But it takes a while.
So they make it into that like pit area.
Yeah, they have that pit. This was one of the things that really pissed me off because
Oh my God.
they find this big
So And they're using these, what are they called? The
pitons.
Pitons.
Or
someone has to
actually
go
they had,
across.
Well, they have protection.
I thought the piton was the other thing.
The piton is nailed. Pitons, okay, so in climbing,
I'm talking about the squeeze things.
pitons are these nails with loops on them that you hammer into rocks. They were used in mountaineering in the 50s. They're not used very often now.
Doesn't seem reliable. Seems like you could break the rock apart. And
Well, they're usually made of a soft metal so that when they sink into the rock, they kind of expand from you hammering on them. It compresses them and they get really stuck in the rock. But because pitons can be old, you never really want to use them.
so, yeah, but
And so
what are those squeeze things?
quick draws.
Quick draws, yeah.
So quick draws are two carabiners connected by a small piece of fabric, and you would hammer in a piton or some other anchor system. Like they use, I don't know the name of those anchors, but you pull on them and the claws kind of collapse and you let go and it grabs inside the
So
crack.
someone has to get them across, so they.
So she starts going and she puts two of them in,
And then she
goes,
makes
"Yeah,
it-
I'm going to use this rusty old piton."
Yeah, and I'm like,
Which, if you're a climber at all, you're like,
It's
you don't
old.
do that. You don't even stand on a rusty piton. You don't do, like, if you see one, you avoid it as much as possible because
you just
it's
don't use.
going to
And then she just goes, doop, and I'm just like, I didn't even know what it was. I'm just like, that looks old, and you shouldn't use it. So,
So they get across.
and then the last
then
person.
the last person has
what's her
to-
name? It starts with a J, right?
Yeah, Juno.
Juno. I keep forgetting. I'm like Judy, Juno.
She has to remove the protection because they might need it later in the cave.
So,
and they
because-
lost their
yeah,
gear bag, so
so-
they definitely need to keep as much as they can. And so as she's climbing across this thing,
She's pulling out
she's
the
pulling
quick
out
draws.
the quick draws and the protection.
And she
and
makes it
then-
to the piton, and the piton like falls a
The
bit.
piton fails
Yeah.
because that's what happens.
And then what's her face? Sarah,
And-
right? Sarah's the one with the rope.
Yeah, and plus
She has
when you belay, you
gloves.
normally have the belay locked off when you're belaying someone so that if they do fall, the rope doesn't go through your hands.
And
But they didn't do that, and
It,
so
like, because
it totally shredded her hand. Like,
and I'm like, the gloves should be to not have that happen, but apparently they're just stylish gloves.
and apparently the rope's made of barbed wire because her hand gets totally
Like
slashed.
just, like I thought it would be a burn, but no, it's just like ripped open blood. Just
Yeah, lots of well,
just like,
it is a horror film, so they've
So-
got to get their blood budget in there. So her hand gets just thrashed by this rope, and they end up pulling her out, and they start yelling at each other about the
well,
pitons.
someone like she's like just like falls down against the wall, and they have to like pull her back up, as the other one's like, eh.
And then someone said something that really, like, I was like, I don't think that's true. They said, oh, that piton was 100 years old. Pitons weren't really in active use until like the 40s in mountaineering. They
just
had
old.
different types of pitons or different types of metals that they used as pitons, but that piton that was like a manufactured piton was probably from the 50s, which is not 100 years ago.
Totally 100 years ago, not like
even close
70
to
years
100
ago.
years ago.
Totally not like 70 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was even less than 70 years ago because this was 2005.
2005.
So that's like 55 years ago from there.
So I was a little incredulous. Like they did a really good job of keeping a lot of stuff accurate, and I understand that like in cinema you do have to be dramatic about things. So like even the crossing when they basically did jamming where you take your hand, you put it in a crack, and you make a fist, and that locks you into the crack.
Yeah, I've never been able to actually do that because I remember going to Pappy's gym and trying it with the crack, and I can't manage it yet.
Yeah. Well, you'll have bigger hands. Don't worry.
And also, something that was really cool that I thought was on the filming perspective, it wasn't an actual cave. If you watch the movie, it looks like a real cave, right? Or is it just
looks
me?
like a manufactured cave.
Really?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm like, is it just me, Finn, not in a cave before?
I think in the 90s it got really popular to have like fake rock work in your pool. And my dad
I
built
think
pools.
the rocks were pretty good in that, so.
I don't know if I just am a snob. And when I
Because,
see
you
fake
know,
rock work, I'm like, that's fake rock work.
Because it was all on a sound stage.
That's painted concrete that someone formed. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Usually, well, the fake rock that I know usually looks smoother than normal rock. I didn't think it
Yeah.
looked too smooth, so I think they did an okay job at least.
And then when
cool.
this was about the time that they realized that they're not in the cave system they thought they were in. And Juno was like, no, we're exploring this uncharted cave. It doesn't have a name. I wanted us to have a real adventure, which is something you never do. And that was like another...
And
okay,
well,
look.
obviously someone's been there, but that means they never left because someone's been there if there's the piton in there.
And so, like, people start freaking out because the way they came in is caved in, but there's supposed to be a cave on the other
This
end.
is when they find the cave paintings, right? And there's two, and then it's like light a flare, so they light a flare, and you can see there's two entrances.
Yeah.
And they're like, yes.
Yeah. I thought those cave paintings were really sharp for as old as they were supposed to
Yeah.
be. Like, they look very cleanly stenciled. It was odd. And of course,
It was probably
because
stenciled.
everyone's like freaking out and wanting to get the hell out, Holly goes ahead and she ends up falling and breaking her
Well,
leg.
she's like going, and then she takes the lighter. Juno takes the
Juno's the one
lighter.
who's using the lighter to find the airway.
And then she's like, there it is. And then freaking Holly dives
Holly's like,
in.
I'm going that way.
And dives in and then falls down a hole. And oh my God, they go in after her and she has a compound fracture. There's so many of these movies have,
And like up to this point,
look, I hate it.
it just seems like it's a movie about a caving trip gone wrong. With extra horror river rafting at the beginning.
Yeah. And then so they have to make like a, what's it called?
You're the Boy Scout.
Splint.
There you go.
With like they have like the picks, the
Yeah,
climbing
they take
picks.
one of the climbing axes
And just like put it on her leg,
tie it to her leg with like some scraps.
something, and just as a splint.
I guess the
like
real
they had to,
first aid kit was in the bag that got left in the cave in.
or they just, but before that, they had to push it back in, and there's a lot of screaming.
Well, one of the characters, their backstory is that they're a doctor. And so they're all, oh, I can fix this. And like every time I've seen someone set a compound fracture in film or TV,
You usually use, like,
it's
a
always
tie.
a moment. It's always like okay, this is gonna suck, and then they yank on your leg to straighten it, and then they check and they're like, okay, the bone's fine. This one, they're like, hold on, I'm gonna pull on it just a little bit, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and it took so long for them to actually get the bone back in
In
the leg.
Crawl, he used his tool belt, and he just pulled it really tight, so it just went, you know?
That's weird. I don't know.
Because so it pulled it up, and I don't know.
100-year-old piton.
Because it,
Obviously, everything's not gonna be accurate.
well, it's like this, so pull it back in, and it just goes. It tightens.
This is his leg, and he's like, the bone's out. Like,
And then he ties it around, and it just pulls it back in, I guess. That's what happened in Crawl.
who knows? And now things are starting to go downhill. And this is when they pull out a camera that has night vision in it.
Yeah.
Which, in a closed cave system, there's no ambient light for night vision to pick up. So that was another thing where I was like, really?
Well, they had those tiny lights on their helmets. I guess that's kind of
but not enough.
Yeah.
That's not ambient. That's directed light.
I guess. I don't know, man.
They pull out a camera that's got night vision, and they start looking around, and they see these pale.
Well, one of them sees it, like
monsters.
humanoid things, and
Yeah.
they just think it's just something random.
Well, Sarah, she said that she saw one, but didn't say anything because she wasn't sure. And then she saw it again, and she's like, "That's definitely."
They're
a
called
monster."
crawlers.
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 Nobody calls it a crawler in the film, but
Yeah, just like my mini film, no one's gonna call it the Sack Man.
yeah. So they all
Just the way to call it from
they all
now.
crap their pants because now they're monsters. They're lost in the cave and they don't know where they are. They don't know how they're gonna get out, and everyone just freaks the hell out.
And also in real life, because they didn't tell them, the director didn't tell them there was gonna be the monsters.
Yeah.
So
So when they,
I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna
when
be
they-
that type of
When
director.
they were on the soundstage in the cave and they're like acting out this scene, and suddenly there's like, someone who looks like a Silent Hill Resident Evil sort of monster. 'cause
It looks
it's,
like
all
a Wendigo
pale.
from Until Dawn.
Yeah. Like just pale, gross looking monster humanoid.
Milky eyes.
Apparently they screamed and ran and laughed. It's like, okay, well, we got to reshoot that now. It's a good thing we didn't tell them about it, because then we would have ruined them laughing.
They just like ran off and started laughing.
So now we got a girl with a broken leg. We got monsters, and we're lost in a cave deep underground. Deep underground, because they keep going down. Like, they never climb up; it's always down.
It's always going down.
They're like, oh, well,
that's why I kept saying, like, they keep
the ground. Let's go in there. It's like,
wee, or just the diving in, wee.
And Juno, I don't know, would you call her a protagonist or antagonist, or because apparently she's not. Yeah. She's the one who set everybody up to get murdered by cave monsters. So
they're surrounded now, right?
Yeah, and she kills like with her axe.
And she
and then
like
one
she
of the
just
girls scares her.
And she turns around and just
axe in the neck, and she's like, "Oops, sorry,"
and just lets her die. Doesn't say anything. It disappears into the darkness. She like walks back and
she's
fades into the darkness.
See anything?
Oh, that's gonna come back later.
So
kick her in the butt.
Yeah. They end up split up. A couple of girls go together. Sarah hits her head and falls into a pool of goo, and then wakes up.
So now she's alone.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of cave monsters. She still has the camera, right?
I think she still had the camera.
Yeah, she has the camera still, because I remember a scene that happens.
But she realizes that they can't see, they hear, and then they attack.
And then there's, and the person who got the neck thing, who was that?
I don't remember her name.
But she fell down, like someone, like I guess the monsters.
Yeah, one of the monsters is like, "You're a snack. I'll save you for later. I'm gonna throw you in the food
And then
pit."
she like goes against a wall with the camera, and the monsters just crawl up and start feasting.
All hell breaks loose.
With the Sarah just got down, and she's watching them feast right now. That's where we were.
And so she kills like a bunch of them, right?
Not yet. Because they're like all in front of her eating.
But there's a point where she finds.
Then who was that? Or was it probably just a wolf body or something?
She finds the girl that got stabbed in the neck, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Juno did this."
Don't trust her. And she gives her a necklace from Juno.
Yeah, I don't know if she grabbed that from her.
I think she grabbed it from her. I forgot what it said.
Oh, like live, laugh, love, or some horse shit like that.
Yeah. Something every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what her husband says. So you know what? That's just great.
So this is where you're supposed to be putting the pieces together. And going,
we're at the beginning, and this,
husband. Yeah, it's kind of a thing for Juno. And they were probably boinking.
Boinking. What do we?
They never explicitly say that, though. It just seems to be one of those things that, like, you have to be paying attention in order to get the undercurrent there. And then, so everybody kind of gets.
You kind of don't want to talk yourself.
Juno finds the way out, but is like, I'm gonna go back for my friends because I'm not a piece of.
Well, no, she's with the one other girl.
No, she.
No, yeah, she's with the other girl.
No, because she found the exit with the chalk lines.
Oh yeah, she found the chalk lines now, and then she goes and finds her friends, and she finds one of them, and tells her about it. But she says she's not leaving without Sarah.
I'm like, does she get eaten right away then? Because the other two girls bite it pretty quick. Like, she's telling her. No wait. The two other girls. So they make it so she's following somewhere. She goes somewhere and it's another dark pit, right? And one girl is trying to get across. One girl's trying to get across, and a crawler jumps on her, and she's just getting murdered. Chopped, and so she's hanging from.
But she killed it. Almost.
Yeah, but she hangs from a piece of protection as a corpse. Yeah, just like dead.
And then the other one gets dragged away.
Wait, that was The actress we're talking about that she like tries to cross the pit and her dead body ends up hanging from it. Bryn figured out like right away that it was if you're watching The Witcher, the one who trained Yennefer in The Witcher. I forget what her name is.
Well,
'Cause I'm
don't
bad
look
with
at me.
names.
I'm like,
Yeah,
don't
you're
look
like,
at
You're
me.
not watching The Witcher.
I'm like,
But it's the
I
same
know it was
person.
a game, right? The Witcher was a game.
It's a few
or
games and
yeah.
novels. It started as novels, but this is not what we're reviewing today. Anyway, she's in the movie. She gets killed, and her body just kind of
And then-
dangles and drips blood.
And then there's another one that gets dragged away. And then Juno just leaps it down into the pit because there's water at the bottom because he knocked down a rock. And she just jumps and splooshes into the water. And and the thing that she killed it, right? No, yeah. So the one that was hanging there thought she killed the monster. No, the monster just wakes up and just, oh, free snack. And just like attacks her. We probably missed a lot of the kills on the monsters because I'm like, my dad has a list of kills.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, I didn't write down like Juno killed monster 1. I was like, I wonder who's got the most kills. And,
Don't spoil it. Yeah, we'll say that at the end.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
anyways, Becca and Sam bite it. Those are the names of the two other girls that were.
Keeping an eye on that to make sure it doesn't cut because of the teeth.
And so all that's left is Juno and Sarah. And
They meet up down at the bottom of the pit.
yeah, and Sarah kind of confronts her. It's like, wait, what happened?
They get out of the water and they're like, what happened? And like, did you see what's her face die? The one who got the
Yeah,
axe in
and
the
Juno's
neck.
like, yeah, she was totally dead after I put my axe.
She
in
said,
her
yeah.
neck."
She just said, yeah. And
So
they're there.
Sarah's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to kill you now.
Oh yeah, that kill. Well, Juno was gonna get the kill for that girl, but she was still alive. So Sarah got the kill because she
Yeah, she
put her out
finished it
of the misery.
Yeah.
But then, so tells her
Juno
about the
tells
chalk,
Sarah about the chalk and the arrows, and like, well, I think I found the other entrance.
and then Sarah's like,
And
"Frick
all right,
you!"
let's go. And they went for a while, and then they heard monsters coming, and they looked at each other, and then Sarah picked up the axe and stabs Juno in the leg.
And it's just like, "Frick you!"
It was like, yeah, this is for lying about everything.
Everything
And then she's
ba-
just like, peace
and
out.
boinking
bitch,"
my husband.
and takes off.
And then she finds the exit, and
Well, it's kind of odd because
well, no, she. Oh wait, we just missed a part where she's murdering like 3 of them. Sarah, remember she goes and there's blood and.
she's covered in
Oh
blood.
yeah. So when she finds the other girl who got in the throat, there's monsters there. So she has to fight off a monster. Then like the mom monster is like, "You killed my son." And it's just like, "Killed that
The
one."
mom monster. Oh my god.
That's what mom said.
That was gross.
And then she's just.
Because they're like, oh yeah, they've got like families here. It was a weird.
And then she got drenched into a pool of blood, like a pool. Not even just like a puddle.
Yeah.
Like she just got all the way dunked. And then
Oh,
she
yeah.
killed it. And then
You
there was
didn't mention
another
the
one.
bone pit or anything like that. Like it gets pretty gnarly.
There's a
at the
bunch
end
of
there.
bones and blood. And so she kills 3. But then she leaves Juno and finds the exit and she sees the light. She climbs up a bunch of bones and she makes it out and she gets in the car.
Yeah, there's like she finds daylight and she has to climb a mountain of bones, and it's really kind of cool. I thought it was an interesting direction,
Sorry, Beth,
artistic
you could hear
direction
that.
to take, because it's almost like, you know, ascending from hell and escaping, because it's all these bones.
Oh, I
and
never thought about that.
yeah, she comes out and it's almost like a rebirth.
And she's
because
covered in blood too.
when she comes out, it's not like she just walks out of the cave. She kind of digs through some dirt and like, oh, fresh air. And then she gets out and runs, and she's where they park the cars, which is like, well,
20
maybe you
feet
should-
away.
Maybe you should have gone in that cave entrance instead, you a-holes.
Well, there's monsters on that entrance.
Yeah, well, they would have been able to turn around a lot quicker. Still, it's just one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like, you hiked for like a couple hours to get to the cave entrance, and really you could have just used this, whatever.
That was like 20 feet away.
Anyways, and she gets in the car, and
She's driving for a while.
She slams on the gas and, drives
drives
very dangerously.
For a while, and then
for a
she
while,
pulls
and
over.
She pulls over and tries to take a deep breath.
And there's a truck behind her, and she freaks out for a second and just drives faster, and she's like, oh.
And then she turns.
And then she turns to the side, and
Judo's in the passenger seat, and she's in the cave or something.
and she just wakes up in the cave. She wakes up in the cave.
I saw the U.S. theatrical ending where she doesn't wake up in the cave. Like after the truck scares her, she gets back in the car, and then the credits roll. In the UK version, it's suggested that
She wakes up in the cave, and that was
yeah,
all.
like the part where
Like
she got knocked
40
out and then woke up, like from that point forward is all just imaginary, and she's still in the cave.
Like something I forgot. It's like 42 feet deep or something. I don't know. It's like they get stuck in a shark cage, and it's at the bottom. It breaks, and the ending. She thinks she like escaped and swam up to the boat and stuff, and fought off some sharks, and then she's laying there, and then blood floats up like underwater, and then she's still under the water, stuck in the cage. So that was a ending, and the credits roll. So I think it was a pretty good movie. I'm actually changed my mind. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 skulls.
I'm sticking to my 4.15.
Fine. We'll make it slightly less than a quarter. Hold your skulls.
Oh, hold.
Yeah, you get to hold your skulls. I'm just gonna. Yeah, okay.
Hit your skulls with my skulls? Is that a thing?
I'll take. Okay,
Skulls.
it's probably just gonna be like right here and here. Yeah. I'm not gonna animate it like. So.
But it was good. I enjoyed it.
So did I.
Even the second time when I got to see the original ending that got changed because it was too bleak. Which the new ending is actually the official ending because there's a sequel to it. There's a Descent 2.
So the official ending is when she doesn't wake up in the cave?
Right, she gets out.
Yeah,
She
so
escapes.
because there's
And apparently,
Descent 2.
Yeah.
Why would you go caving
Bryn
again?
was saying that, Bryn was saying that, like, she was like, oh, my friends, we got trapped in the cave and monsters ate us. And then a group of people were like, that's not true. And then they take her to the cave and they all get eaten. I'm guessing.
Sounds about right. They should just like go in through that entrance, see the monsters, and be like.
Oh, that's good enough.
There's also
See
a
you later.
theory that all the monsters were in her head and she just killed all her friends because she went insane after the crash. I don't know why. Finger guns.
Took her a
Okay.
year to go crazy. Long
Yep.
time. Maybe she's in a mental hospital and that's why the halls were empty.
So, like and subscribe, and see you next time.
Be sure to mash that like and subscribe button.
Bye. Say bye.
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 Bye.